Hello, everybody at home. This is the esports haircut tutorial. We're all in isolation. It's kind of tough times, and I thought it would be maybe a good idea to put out a video. If you have a pair of clippers where you can kind of use these and use these for beard trimming or whatever, you can use these to cut your hair, and it can kind of show you how, at least the basics of how to get a fade going and how to blend your haircut. There's lots of haircuts that you can do that involve like just scissors, for example. Those can be a bit harder to do. Maybe they require a barber for some of the more technical haircuts. This is a really simple haircut that I want to show you so you can look in the mirror and still have some dignity left over after kind of day 20 of the quarantine, so you don't come out looking like Robin Williams in Jumanji. So I've already went ahead and got started. So I want to just show you the difference here between a bald fade and a level one, and I'm going to make the whole thing a bald fade because it shows up a bit better on the camera. But what I do recommend when you're doing this at home is to maybe use a guard. Okay, so this is a level one guard just to show you the length. When you buy clippers, they'll come with guards of all lengths, and you can use those, and you can use them and put the guard on the clippers after you oil the blades. Flip these on, and then kind of start working away on the side of your head. And what you're aiming to do is to find out a nice middle ground here between here and the top. Sometimes I used to just fade really high and tight all the way around because that was very easy. But I think the more traditional way to do it, and the more the way that's probably going to look best on most people, is to try to get a line that goes around your ear and then down around the back, following the curvature of your skull. So you kind of want it to like round out down, and then on the back, just kind of go around the back, and then scoop up a bit over the ear, and then go there. And you can be a little bit off when you're cutting your hair at home. Make sure to be kind to yourself. It's not always going to come out perfect, but just make sure you don't cut off too much at first, because you can't get the hair back. It's kind of like cooking. You don't want to, you'd rather underspice than overspice, and you want to also taste as you go. And I think those are two very important things to learn when cutting your hair. So as you can see on the bald side, it just looks cleaner, right? It's going to be a nice and easy way to look fresh. On the other side, it might look a bit more rugged, and it's got that kind of homeless chic thing that's really popular right now. But it's going to be, it's honestly like, it's really nice to just use this without any guards on it. Like, you can hear, it's going to be very precise. You can kind of use your ears to listen to how closely you're cutting. And again, you get a cleaner haircut. And also, you don't have to cut your hair as often. So that's what I'm going to go and do here. And see, as we got started, it's a little bit hard to follow on the camera when you use the guard. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this bald fade and work my way around. And you can jump back and forth from either side. Some people start on one side and go all the way around. Some people do both. I think the only thing you want to make sure you do is keep these two even heights, and then try to, keep it even when you go back and around as well. And don't get too upset if you slightly mess anything up. Just go slowly so your mistakes will be small as well. All right. For mirror, I have a mirror right behind me, and it's sitting on top of a rolling table. And if you're fortunate enough to have a setup like this, you got a mirror in front of you and a mirror like this, you can check in on your head by doing this to look at the side to make sure everything's even. Obviously, right now it looks like a fucking Tetris block, but eventually you can kind of curve it out slowly. And then you can also look in this mirror to help with the back. When I did this at home, when I lived with my mom and my in my mom's apartment, I had a medicine cabinet with a mirror that I could take half of it off, and I used to hold it like this to be able to see the back of my head, and then shave my head and use these clippers with my other hand. It was really cumbersome, really difficult, and yeah, it didn't work as well or as easily as having a setup like this, but it can be done. The back is obviously the most difficult part. The trick is having the right mirror setup to make it as easy as possible. And also, if you when you need to switch hands, your left hand, if you're right-handed, isn't going to be quite as good, but that'll come with time. And the way around that to make sure you do it well quickly is just to take your time. Right? When you take your time, you can catch your mistakes early and then work around them that way. When you're cutting, small technique, when you're cutting your hair, I try to keep it even. Keep this really flat to your head and your head shape, as your head will curve in and out. I've got a weird kind of peanut shaped head where it's like big here and then it dips in a bit and then pops out again at the top. You want to try to understand what your head shape is like and then go from there and go off of feel, go off of the sound, right? You hear this, you can kind of tell how much hair is getting cut. I think that's actually really important. And after you get this part done, and be conservative about how high you cut here so you can cut more later, whereas you can't uncut hair you've cut before. When you get into your fade, you're going to take this and then you're going to pop this out like that. So you've got this lever, all hair cutter clippers have them, and this allows you to blend a little bit easier. So you can use that to blend and to create, and so it doesn't look like the fucking ocean and then the sand. It's like a nice gradient to the top if you use this to blend. It's kind of like adding a guard to the clippers. When I cut up top, or when I start to go over top, I should be doing this already. I'm just, because I've done this so many times, I just kind of go forward a little bit at first just to get rid of some of the excess hair above. But the best way to avoid any issues when you do that is just to get a kind of scooping motion in. So when you go up flat on it, then you kind of scoop out a little bit, where you hold the blade down but not exactly touching your head. So when you push up, it kind of just will go along with the hair that's popping out to make it kind of a flat fade all the way to the top. Just get a feel for it, figure exactly what the angle is, and then push up, and then use that sound again to figure out exactly how much hair you're cutting, as well as your eyes, because obviously this is very visual. It's very visual. It's very visual by nature. The haircuts, it's a very visual thing. So this side I can obviously go a lot higher on. So you can see it's like there and there. And there I just kind of follow through. See it, I went a bit high right here, so that's going to mean that I'm going to have to like even out on this side, and that's obviously a symptom of not going slow enough. But since I left some extra room, there's still lots of hair to work with here. It's not the biggest deal in the world, and you'll be able to blend it and bring it a bit higher. Okay, so I just want to give it a closer look because the mirror is sitting a little bit farther away than is optimal. And I'm sure you can see there, I did cut a bit high, but I'm already coming up to fix it. I'm really close to being able to fix that and make it look a lot better. So we're almost there. Also, beard is really important for making this all look better as well. The top of the beard will have to be faded in. There's a lot of stuff that has to do with angles and lighting and like you can get, if I look in this camera, it's showing way more than I look in this mirror. And then if I look in this mirror, it's a little bit different as well. And it's important to get all angles, like as many as you can, to collect some information about what's actually going on in your head. And then eventually it'll all make sense. And again, sometimes it's actually good to, once you think you're done, hop in the shower, come out, give it another look in the mirror. You'll see some hair that got stuck, and then you can work from there. Um, if a part's being really stubborn, just again go gently on it. And a lot of the stuff on the back, I'm looking directly at it in this mirror, but I'm almost 100% relying on the sound it makes, like so I can know how much hair is being cut. Now that I've done it for so long, when I shave up the back, I'm taking these small kind of stabs at it, but it's not touching my head directly. Again, it's a little bit off, and I'm just going off of the sound. I could almost do it blindfolded. The only reason I couldn't is just because you want to try to keep this line as straight as possible, or keep it like that perfect curve that meets right in the middle. But in terms of how much hair you're cutting off, when you see a patch that's like a bit too much, or even feel a patch that's a bit too much, you're kind of using your ears actually. I found that makes it a little bit easier. But it's starting to shape up a lot better. So I'm going to really focus on the blending a little bit now. So I'm going to be a bit more aggressive, and I'm going to open this up a bit more so that I fuck up, it doesn't. I can't more easily fuck up. Um, Again, it's kind of like adding a guard, but now I'm just going to, so that this doesn't look so harsh. I'm going to use this to blend it up and get rid of more of the hair that's above the line. So there, I'm not hearing quite as much, and I have kind of try to aggressively blend it. So I'm just going to take this down just a little bit so that I can basically hear more of my hair being cut. For the big poofy parts, I actually So again, I'm not a professional, but for these big kind of poofy parts that pop out, I'm basically just taking this and then just pushing down from the top a little bit so it sticks out to where I see I want to cut it, and I try to cut from there. You can come at it with scissors if you like. I found that this is a nice way to just keep it this just to easily do it, um, just to easily kind of one shot it upwards. Because some of this hair, it's keeping a shape here uh, with your hair with your fade. It's keeping a shape up the side of your head, and you need to cut it down, but not to the skin. So again, you can use guards. I like to just pretty much do everything without guards, if possible. If I want to just bulk fade it, but yeah. Now that I've worked on kind of like the fade for a while, to go all the way around, I just want to once again even out to the top, right? So then we've got this. So I'm gonna use my fingers. So we're gonna use that without a comb. Comb is probably recommended. Once again, this is just something that I've been doing for a long time by myself, and never bothered to try to use a comb to help cut it. There are other tutorials out there. This one's not good enough for you. Okay, okay. This is half serious tutorial haircut. Um, I'm basically going to be trying to effectively do what a comb does, but I'm like pulling on the hair that I want to get cut off, and I'm gonna judge based on how far out it pops where my fade is, just to kind of get it nice and even, and that I'm just going to do up the sides a little bit. on either side. It depends how, I guess, anal you are with your haircut. Make sure not to actually pull hair from the top over to the side when you do this. Kind of like always get a feel for it. And the idea is to try to achieve that kind of straight line. You can turn your head to bring more hair into the light. Obviously, doing it yourself is not perfect, but it doesn't have to be awful. Okay. I've just wet my hair a little bit, and now I can start to see a lot more of the other stuff that's kind of sticking out. So, like back here, for example, this is popping out. So that needs to go, and I can once again get a feel for kind of where to cut it. If you have hair on top, it doesn't need to be ultra specific, then it's no issue. Otherwise, you once again want to try to get that mirror on the sides. I use my fingers to get a feel for how far it pops out, and for me, I always end up cutting up and not letting my hair flow over the side because that can make it annoying to style. And then just cutting straight across as I constantly pull out a bit more hair each time to try to cut off. I realize some of the stuff like on the back, I'm just so comfy with it. I can just reach and know kind of how much hair I'm cutting out. But yeah, since we're all holed up in isolation, it won't be the end of the world if you mess up a little bit. No better time to learn than the present. So with my hair like this, sometimes I actually, in general, these days, I'm just leaving it forward. Uh, I'm going a bit more low maintenance. I've got I've got my, what's this called? Widow's Peak. I've got a cowlick here. A widow's peak would be here. I've got a cowlick there and there. And so my hair kind of is supposed to just go like this, right? It's supposed to be just be like this, like fucking standard like proper Indian schoolboy, right? And in general, I think it's a good hint from where those points are. So like where your hair is going to look the best naturally, and you can kind of go off of that. If you want a bit more edge to it, you can bring it down. Um, and when it comes to trimming a fringe, and Matt actually asked about this on Twitter. In general, when I just pick at it a little bit, so I'll try to bring it down as flat as possible. I'll decide how far is too far. Like as we can see there, I put the scissor like kind of right to the skin, and then I go off and I pick a little bit more each time. And I just make sure not to pick off too much at once. That's pretty much it. Um, Once again, your food should not be a complete surprise when you try it, right? You should taste as you go so that when you get to the end, you have an idea of what you wanted out of it. For the hair on the sides, I have an idea. Like when my hands touch my hair now, I understand how long is too long and where it won't look good. And I just try to cut based on that. to achieve a pretty good length. And then obviously in real life, your hair is not going to look your hair is not going to look like it looks when it's completely wet. So, right, you run your fingers through it a little bit to get it a bit a bit more of that natural volume look, and and then you'll have a better idea of what you can do with it. Um, I want to take another look here. You can see that it's not completely perfect. To go around, you can go in and fix that. This side is faded a bit. This side is faded a bit higher than this side. So I can easily take that off because you can see like right here is where it's most pronounced. If I take that part off right on this side, the rest is super simple. So I'm just going to give that another once over. Happy with it, and I can see a lot more with the phone camera light. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but in my mirror here, in my mirror behind me, it looks pretty good, and maybe the fade is not super ultra perfect, but it's pretty decent. I feel good about it. So I just hopped out of the shower, comb my hair a bit, and there it is. So the idea is, of course, you can leave it messy on the top, and that's the beauty of shaving the sides. If you shave the sides, everything looks a little bit cleaner. And if you do that, of course, you can literally make it a mess on top, and you'll be fine. And when it comes to cutting with scissors, I just cut to make sure things don't flow over on the side here and the side here. And then on the top, I have a length that I know is like that's a good length for the hair product that I use, and I try to keep the top sticking straight up to a certain length. It's about here for me, just about like that. And I just know that by feel. You'll get better, of course, the more you do it. And I realized as I was making this tutorial, like I really am not a professional, and a lot of the things I do are almost by feel or intuition. And of course, it's not going to be as clean a fade or even and perfect as a normal barber. And when I go to events, I always do go to a barber for getting my hair cut. But in that off time, it can be fun to cut your hair yourself. You can learn a lot about your hair and what looks good and how to describe that to your barber, and save a ton of money, right? Like you can save if you some people get a haircut every week, some people get a haircut every 2 weeks. The price for a barber is astronomical. So I like to keep that a luxury, something I use in the off time. In the meantime, or in like kind of the peak of my schedule when I'm traveling a lot. And then in the off time, I like to do it myself. It's a good skill to have, I think, especially during isolation. So I hope that was helpful. And I feel like this video might be kind of a meme, but I think it actually, I hope it comes through. I'm gonna assume post production will save me here and make it pretty good. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. There won't be a part two, but you should buy some merch off the Boxer store if you like that. Store.boxer.gg. Peace out, everyone.